Never stop reading Bible. Have you ever wondered what it looks like when a kingdom is standing on the edge of a cliff? I mean, a final, desperate attempt is made to pull it back from the brink, led by one really good king. But what happens when the weight of the past is just too heavy? Well, that's the dramatic story we're diving into today, a story of reform, prophecy, and the final collapse of a nation. And just so you know where this is all coming from, our guide for this entire explainer is the historical record found in the second book of Kings. We're looking specifically at chapters 22 through 25, which really chronicle those final turbulent years of the kingdom of Judah. And this really gets to the core question that's hanging over this whole story. Can the actions of one good person, one great leader, actually rewrite a destiny that seems like it's already set in stone? It's a question about leadership for sure, but also about fate itself. Okay, so our story kicks off with this incredible flicker of hope in what was, frankly, a pretty dark time. It all starts with a young ruler who would go on to become Judah's last great reformer, King Josiah. What's so amazing here is just how fast and decisively Josiah acts. He gets to work repairing the temple, which was the spiritual heart of the nation. And get this, during the repairs, they make a stunning discovery, a forgotten copy of the Book of the Law. This thing becomes the blueprint for a total radical reform. He gets the people together to make a new covenant, and he brings back the Passover celebration, a huge festival that had been ignored for generations. This was a complete spiritual and national reset, a genuine moment of hope. So here's the main takeaway from all that. Everything Josiah did, all of it, was driven by this powerful idea they rediscovered in that ancient book. The principle was simple. If you follow this divine standard, it leads to national well-being and blessing. That idea was the engine behind his entire reformation. But, just as it seems like the kingdom is finally turning a corner, we hit the tragic plot twist. Because despite all of Josiah's sincere efforts, there was this older, darker current that was just too strong, pulling the nation in the complete opposite direction. And this is where you see the real tug of war happening. On one side, you have Josiah doing a complete religious overhaul. He's tearing down foreign idols and altars left and right. But on the other side, he's up against this unchangeable reality, a prophecy of doom. The historical account says that because of the deep-seated sins of past kings, God's anger wasn't going to be turned away. So Josiah's reforms, they were good, they were righteous, but they just couldn't erase the past. And this whole era of hope just ends. It ends with Josiah's own tragic death. He's killed in battle, and with him dies the last real chance for Judah's salvation. The kingdom's protector was gone. So, with Josiah out of the picture, the kingdom doesn't just decline, no, it plummets. It goes into a total free fall, hurtling straight towards its final destruction. I mean, think about it. After Josiah's stable 31-year reign, the kingdom just collapses into chaos. You've got this rapid-fire succession of his sons and grandson taking the throne. 2 of them only lasted for 3 months. This wasn't just some internal squabble. These kings basically became pawns in this huge geopolitical game between Egypt and the rising empire of Babylon. All that turmoil created a massive power vacuum, leaving Judah fractured and fatally vulnerable. The end didn't come in one single blow, but in 3 devastating waves. The first invasion by King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon hits around 605 BC, and that makes Judah a vassal state. Then, a few years later, comes the second invasion, which results in the first mass deportation of Jerusalem's elite. But it's that third and final invasion that was the real cataclysm. And the aftermath was just total destruction. The city walls were torn down, the Temple of Solomon, the center of their faith for centuries, was looted and then burned to the ground. The entire ruling class was rounded up and executed, and most of the population was forcibly marched into exile in Babylon. Just like that, the kingdom of Judah, after more than 400 years, was gone. So, after this incredible story of hope and complete ruin, what are we left with? What's the lasting takeaway from the fall of an entire nation? Well, Josiah's story definitely proves that one leader's conviction can spark incredible change. It can bring a nation back to its core principles. But at the same time, it wasn't enough to stop the momentum built up over generations of prior decisions. And that leaves us with a really powerful question, doesn't it? How much can even the best leader do against the powerful, relentless tide of history? Thanks for joining me for this explainer on the fall of Judah. The visuals for this presentation were created by the Center student.